senior female employee who is in charge of our largest office, who was hired as a managing director of our New York office. And we just brought on our first female board member who was COO of AOL Time Warner. So yeah, and I can tell you, I think the last 6 hires that we've had have all been women. So there are more women in my classes at UCLA. Each quarter it increases. There's business creation option. I would say that more and more leaders of the teams are women, and I do believe women over the years got a raw deal, and I think that's changing quickly. I have several of my students or past students who are here, and one's on the panel, and so I'm happy to have Carolyn. Carolyn is a very successful, has a great company called, I have to read these things because I'm old, Hop, Skip, and Drive. So it's, I'll let her explain a little bit when we go through this, but it's, if you need help with driving, picking up, delivering your children with a safe, vetted driver, call Carolyn, 1-800, no.
Hopskipdrive.com.
Yes. Sarah is somebody I work with. It's Sarah Fergusson Chambless. She is one of the attorneys we use. She's with Manat. That's how I know it's called Manat. Manat Phelps, they also paid for the food, so thank you. Sarah is one of the top startup attorneys working with young companies and growing companies here in Southern California, and also one of the attorneys that we utilize in our company. Eunice is one of my past students who I'm very proud of. She just, can I talk about it? She just got a huge deal with Bloomingdale's, and is, which will be, so her clothing company is expanding quickly, and we're very proud of her at UCLA Anderson. Rosie O'Neill is co-founder of Sugarfina, which is a very successful company, which I'm sure you've heard of. And Elise is Killeen is founder, director of City Fellows Consortium and Women in Venture, and a venture partner at Veneta Project. So we have a short time here, and I want to try to use it wisely. So we have people who advise. I would assume that's Veneta and Sarah work with younger companies, I guess invest in companies, and work with them to give them advice. And I'm curious from the two of you, of all the companies that you have seen, what advice do you give that the entrepreneurs don't listen to?
That's a really good question. Sometimes I feel like all of my advice gets ignored, but that's, I think probably the #1 fear in terms of startups when they talk to their attorney is, my attorney is going to give me advice that's going to result in me having to spend a lot of money that I don't have. And so the advice that most often gets ignored is the advice that I give that would lead to them making an investment to avoid things in the future which have not happened yet. And things that are on the horizon that maybe are not very real to them. And so to give you a concrete example, securing your intellectual property within your company through intellectual property assignments, and then taking active steps to protect that intellectual property, whether it's through filing trademarks or prosecuting patents, which trademarks can be expensive depending on your mark and how crowded the space is. Patents are always expensive. But if your intellectual property is core to your business proposition, it is extremely important that you be able to explain to potential investors why they should be investing in you and not the company down the street that could do exactly what you're doing. And one of the ways that you do that is by protecting your most valuable asset. And so I think that's where I do see companies cutting corners, where maybe they shouldn't.
Okay, and Elise, and I'm not familiar with the Veneta project, so
Sure,
maybe what is that? And
Sure, I'll give a quick bit of background. So I'm coming from I've been a VC 3 times, so at 3 different firms, 2 of the larger funds here in LA, and have worked with probably hundreds of founders. But in the past year, so 2015, worked on over 500 deals, and did 22 investments. So now, at the end of the year, I left to start my own practice, but continue to advise Vinetta Project, which is a network for women founders, and continue to work with women in venture, and also advise other investors, actually, on how to invest in new emerging technologies, which is something I did. And you know, the sophistication of investors can really have an impact in how these emerging technologies advance. And so I'm spending time there this year. You know, when I give advice to founders, I generally just give it and leave it, and don't always follow up to see what's, you know, followed or what's not. And I think that it's quite important. I take the Buddhist approach to say, you know, if this resonates with you, then you hold on to it and you go forward with it. And if it doesn't, you let it go. And I generally don't care if people, you know, go along the path that I'm suggesting. But what I do see, I think, people getting turned around on sometimes is knowing their own value and pushing back against against VCs. So whether that mean reaching out multiple times, or even reaching out cold, or turning down an offer of something to optimize for their position in the.
Now I think it's our customers. Like, people rely and depend on us, and every day are thanking us that we're saving marriages, and we're saving jobs, and we're saving, you know, like, we're saving lives. I mean, we're not actually, we're just running kids around, but it's very powerful, and so that's what keeps us going at this point.
Maybe we'll go down the path here. So Sarah, what do you?
So, I mean, it's interesting, as someone who works with very, very young companies, I mean, I routinely get involved pre-seed. I think that there is, and we talk about this a lot actually from a female perspective, we talk about grit, right? This is like a big thing. And there is a way to measure grit sociologically, and it's been my experience that people who have that, like, I will not take no for an answer. I'm throwing all of my eggs into this basket. I mean, I work with women who have sold their homes to run their business. They've invested a lot of their own personal finances. They are committed, and like, not just in the sense of like, oh, I quit my job and I've got 2 years of savings, so that's how long I'm committed. Like, they've committed. And I think that because there is no option for failure, they just don't take no for an answer. I think there are some other qualities that we probably hear a lot about, like, you know, having domain expertise and things like that matter. But from my perspective, because I do invest in the sense that I give away a ton of time for free, and I defer fees, and oftentimes, you know, those fees never get paid. It's unfortunate but true. For me, I always look for that, because it is, you know, it's someone who will keep a promise to themselves about their business is going to keep a promise to me, and we'll be in it together.
For me, I think that every time I am sort of in that space, I think about, how far I've come since having this idea. And, you know, I always sort of try to take a step back and see where the business is headed. So, you know, a lot of things might be going wrong, but then the business has been, you know, generally on an upswing. So, you know, it's a combination of so many things. So it's like the grit, and also, you know, the customers who I know are like, we have fans of the brand, and I want to keep that going for their sake. And I think also, you know, I always just take a step back when I think that things are not going exactly the way that I had planned. And having a supportive, like, either friend or like partner counts for a lot of it, because they'll sort of like be the wall that you can bounce off of. And for me, my partner is, you know, every time I'm like, oh my gosh, everything is going wrong, I don't know what to do, he'll be like, so then quit. And then I'd be like, wait a minute, I can't do that, what are you talking about? And then I'll start thinking about like, what, you know, why, like, I need to think about something in a not emotional and more reasonable and rational way. So, yeah. I don't have a really good answer.
I think
Got hired. It was great. But I learned from that experience. So I was told that my time is up.
I think you should address the balance question.
Oh, the balance question. Let me explain. I'm not.
But, I mean, first thing is that, like, I'm going to turn it around because I feel like
Yeah.
we're old friends for some reason. But, like, I just wonder, like, no one ever asks men about how they balance. They never ask. This is a question, no offense to you, on every panel that I've sat on. And the question is, like, why is the expectation that women have
But
a
I
balance?
answered.
And his career went like this, and my career went like this, and then we had our second child, and his career went like this, and I had our third child, and, like, he's a partner now, you know.
They have 14 children
I
now.
have 3 kids, you know, he's 18 years a partner for many, many years. I was the default parent, and the last 2 years, it's not me anymore. And so, yeah, like, he was at the doctor this morning at 9:30, and I was on his team. She's the only girl. So I'm gonna take some credit, you know, for that, because she sees what I'm going through.
Let's not
Yes.
all cry, but that was good. Okay, Sarah, you explain.
I want to just talk about one thing related to balance, and that's sleep. Because I feel like it's a dirty word, and I feel like most people regard it as it's the very first thing to go. And I am very proud to say I sleep 8 hours a night, every night, and I'm an attorney. and I'm, you know, and honestly, it makes me a better worker. When I am at work, I am focused. 7 a.m. and, like, God help the person who messes with sleep. So that would be my one encouragement to think about doing, because it will add years to your life.
I totally agree with you. I have no personal life at all, but the one thing that I do is I have like this sleep quota throughout the month. So if I'm getting, you know, very little sleep for like 2 weeks, then I try to catch up over the weekend, because I am very inefficient if I'm tired. If you're tired all the time, you can't think straight and be creative.